Chad, it's a pleasure for you to join us today. This is going to be a fun thing. It is for me uh, because I'm usually the one that comes out looking like the idiot.
Oh,
but I'm giving it my best effort, and today we're just going to have fun. And one of the things that I tried to make uh, the point of all of our podcasts is what we bring to the table in terms of profession or life itself or anything else, and it's people that have a lot to offer, and that's why I asked you, and you're very kind to join me because I don't often come out. I try to come out like James Bond, but it comes out more Don Knotts than anything else. But the bottom line is, I appreciate you joining us today.
I don't have a lot to offer. I got 15 bucks.
Well, and I'll take it. No, so thank you for being here. And for those of you that are just joining in, uh, Chad and I have worked together, and we've had some numerous situations that have come up professionally and personally, and we've gone through 2 or 3 lifetimes together in one lifetime, and we've shared some experiences. And before we get started, tell me a little bit about this person that you're in love with named Genesis.
Yeah, so G, that's my daughter.
Okay.
Genesis Renee. We back in the day when you send a text message and you had to hit the button X number of times, you know what I mean?
Right.
Genesis took a long time to spell out.
Okay.
And so she became G.
Ah,
right?
okay.
And it just stuck, right? And now she's Miss G because she's a teacher at San Angelo Central.
Oh, okay.
Teaching sophomore English, 26 years old. I turned 19 on June the 8th. She turned born on June 26th. So very young. Started early, got that. But I'm real proud of her. Excuse me. She, um, we moved to Cheyenne, Wyoming, a week before the start of her freshman year.
Oh,
I
man.
was moving to Cheyenne. I got married to Cheyenne. She said, I want to move there. Moved her up there. And I was in San Antonio. She was in Midland. The guidance counselor was in Cheyenne, and we were all on the phone trying to take classes together for her to start her high school. The guidance counselor kind of pressured her into taking an ag class.
Okay.
Because we had to fill spots. And so she got into ag, and there was a teacher there who's retired now, 32, 33 years, taught Thai berry. Just super, super solid guy. She knew nothing about ag. He helped us out. We got us some goats. We got us some pigs. He started showing out. And she decided that's what she wanted to do. She wanted to be Thai berry. She wanted to teach ag. So fast forward a little bit, the ag classes and the ag culture down here in Texas is a little bit more competition than Wyoming. And so she decided maybe she wasn't quite ready for that yet. So she enjoyed English, poetry, etc. So now she's teaching sophomore in San Angelo. Real proud. Good kid. It's all good. She's got kids. This is her her second year in Angelo. They have what they call Bobcat block, I think. So there's one period which is like a tutoring period.
Oh, okay.
Kids, unless the teacher dictates, you have to come to my class because you're behind, etc. The kids choose. They just go to a class, teacher's room.
Oh, wow.
Right? Do their thing. I hope I'm saying that right. I hope I'm not wrong. This is my understanding.
Right.
Anyway, real proud because she's even got kids from last year. They come to her, they choose to come to her room, they come to her room and do their homework or whatever during Bobcat block. So I think she's starting to get the sense and really understand what a difference she is. And I believe that's really important. And I know your mom was a teacher, English teacher, yeah. And so it's really important, especially I think when you look at the state of union, and you look at what I'll call the woke mind virus that's taking not only not only in young adults, but especially in education.
Right.
So it's really important, and in that, um, I may be giving you too much, but in that, she even made decisions on colleges and so forth where she knew she could avoid some of that. So she started school and went to South Plains over in Leveland and got an associate's degree there, and then went on to West Texas A&M.
Oh, wow.
And so, excuse me, neither of those are, I think, the typical education course that a lot of people think about. But a big concern and thought was, where can she go and have the least political experience,
Right.
so that she can get the most fair and honest education that she can pass on to her. And it's kind of wild because even in San Angelo, Texas, which you are familiar with,
Right.
that's
I've been there.
that's about as red as it gets, you would think.
Right.
But even at the high school there, like, she has a lot of struggle with some of the really liberal left wing teachers. So, like, it was gnashing of teeth, crying and gnashing of teeth, etc. When Donald Trump won this last election, through the educators that have been with their captive audience, which I believe is should be prime, pushing that belief onto their captive audience.
Oh, yeah. I do too.
So I'm very proud that she's there, and she's not pushing any political ideology, but she is pushing faith and hope and love.
Along with some thinking in there.
Every now and then, yeah.
I mean, that's what I thought education was about.
Well, me too. And then yesterday they watched Disney cartoon. I can't remember which one it was. She wanted to watch a different one, but it cost $4.99 on Amazon, so she found a free one that they watched. But it was a makeup day for the kids, towards the holidays, getting ready to get stuff done. But I think that she's really really good at being. She's a very good Christian in that she doesn't talk about it. And I really appreciate that, because she shows the kids, right? Because you can talk about it all day long, talk about your faith, etc. That turns a lot of people off. I worked with a guy named Bob. And I grew up with his kids, actually. Worked with him, and he was over at Energy. And he's retired now. I don't mind mentioning his name because I'm real proud of him, because I was young, 19, 20 years old, and I was just there servicing fire or whatever, every now and then doing a little safety stuff. But you got this rough, tough group of men that are working. When Andy Cobb walked in a room, the entire vibe, I guess, the feeling of the room changed. The men watched their mouth. They weren't cussing. They changed the subject of conversation, etc. Andy never said a word, but they just knew that he had this deep religious slant, and they respected it. They respected it. He didn't beat him over the head with the Bible,
Right.
And so now to watch Genesis do the same thing is, I think really cool. I appreciate it a lot. I mean, she's got kids. Just last night she went to a play. She got three girls that are in her classes that are, so she's got these kids coming and inviting her. So that's to me. I don't know how much it is to her, but that's she doing right now.
So she's walking the walk. Yeah. And I know her, and she's dear to my heart too. And we had a couple of meals together before she moved to San Angelo, and when she said she was going to teach English at Central, that really struck
solidified.
And that was a home run. But that's great. And so, and I saw the same thing. she's a gentle spirit, and she's smart as a whip. My goodness.
One thing that's starting to change about her that I'm real proud of is she's all of her life. She's always pressured herself to be happy, smiling, you know.
Right.
And a lot of the times that wasn't true. That's just what she thought she had to show everybody, and she's getting out of it now. She's learned that, you know, I just got to be obedient, do the right thing.
To thine own self be true. Yeah.
And I think that's probably about the right time, right? I mean, she's 26, and so just kind of start to get out of that. You know, I mean, I'll never again be as smart as I was when I was 22.
That's,
you know what I mean?
I think we've all been there.
so I'm real proud of her. Like I said, so really accelerated. She's going.
Great. So now, what do you do for a living?
So I'm in safety. I've been in.
Ooh, you're a safety guy?
Safety guy. Started in the red.
Oh man.
I've been in oil and gas for 27 years. And I think in West Texas, and I could be wrong, very few little boys grow up thinking I'm going to be a doctor, a firefighter, a lawyer. You know, most of us, I know at least for me and the people my age I've talked to, that's never a thought. Like you just, oh, I'm going to grow up and be a roughneck. You know, I mean, because that's what we're surrounded by. And my dad, my whole life, obviously worked in the oil field. We started out going to the field with him in the summers. You know, he always worked for little local companies, which don't exist anymore. You know,
right.
But he would, 6, 7, 8 years old. He's running around as a lease operator. We're out there driving, and breaking sight glasses and just causing minimal chaos. But there was never a thought in my mind about what am I going to do because it was just. I mean, I'm in West Texas. The only thing there is to do is right. But I knew that I didn't want to wrench rods my whole life.
Right.
And so I was working right out of high school. I got a really cool job as a graphic class in school. Right out of high school, I got a really cool job. There's a company here in town called Tomcat USA, and they did stages and lighting and things like this. And so me and a buddy of mine from high school, we got a job over there making $8 an hour. Woo! In 1997, and
all kind.
Yeah, absolutely it was. And we were drafting, but we were doing cool stuff. Like me and him drew the Millennium Mill or the Millennium Deal in England. We did the Rolling Stones Bridges to Babylon tour. Reba McEntire, Metallica, and so.
Oh wow!
And it was a really really cool experience. And then we would even put the stages and stuff together south of Midland here, test them and all that. And that was super cool. But then the safety job came up, and it paid $850. So,
and the safety doesn't do anything.
Yeah, I had a baby on the ground, and I could get all the hours I wanted, and we were struggling to make it meet. So I got into safety. Didn't care anything about it. I was just servicing air packs, fire extinguishers, etc. Excuse me. Through a series of fortunate events, just kind of slowly move up. And I went to work for E Energy through safety. I went to work for E Energy. Ultimately, I was pushing work over. So they're trying to come in here.
Is that
your phone?
Is that my phone? Not mine. I don't remember ever having. We can cut this out.
You can leave it in there,
or we can leave it in there. That'll be work. That'll work too. Okay, that'll work.
But so I went to work for Key Energy, and kind of just Key was super cool because they didn't love you staying in one position more than a couple of years,
right?
For fear of stagnation, I think, right? And so I got to work in almost every basin in the country, work all over it, do lots of cool things, lots of different positions. Ultimately, and Kevin Northcutt was a big influence, mentor, if you will. He was and great guy. But ultimately, I was the HSE manager over the Southern. So it's about 150 rigs, 5-6 per rig. Got pushed. But I spent all of my time taking ash chewings from oil companies for whatever this rig or that rig or the other had done wrong. And I realized very quickly that I had zero impact on the men that are making money. Right. And so at this point, you've been in safety long enough that you have safety guy friends here and there and wherever. And so when there's an accident, it's not your accident. It's everybody's accident. Because they share. Everybody shares everything. Even if it's not a public share, like a public learning. Right. It's, this guy sent me a picture and like, this guy's thinking, what happened? And so at this point, I had really got pretty passionate about it. Wanted to make an impact. Wanted to see, and survive it. So a job came up as a rig pusher. So instead of having zero impact on 150 rigs, I could have total impact over 5. Right. And that was great. I loved it. Most stressful thing I've ever done in my life. Because every morning it's, who went to jail last night? Who's drunk and not showing up? Who quit for that extra quarter an hour or whatever. It's so stressful. But you get to know these men, get to know their company men, who they're working with. That's where you really learn how you manage it, right? And so instead of just being this, and I should say, hey, because it really does take an individual touch if you want to have an impact on somebody's thought process, on their idea about what safety is, why it's important. So I'm real proud to say that I had 5 rigs working for the American that worked for over 4 years without a single recordable. That's outstanding. Now, I'll give BP their credit because they really got beat up back in 2009, right? So they had that little Gulf of Mexico. Right. But the company was fantastic. And they treated us really good, and they gave us the opportunity. Right? Nobody ever told them to hurry up. So that was fantastic. And then they sold everything in West Texas because they had to pay the shrimp farmer down in the Gulf because the news was reporting the oil spill in gallons, which is sensational, Right. You can as opposed to barrels. Yeah, you can jack the numbers up. Yeah. So that was really great. And so that's where it was really solidified in my mind. Hey, with the right people, you can do this and you can make it. And I'm super proud of that experience. I had one floor hand come to work for me. He's 18 years old. My job was to keep him out of jail. He was wow, great. And I won't tell you his name. I'm real proud of him because right now today he owns 3 rigs. Yeah. So I love stories like that. He went from working floors, derricks. He's running a rig for me, and then ultimately he ended up pushing rigs at Key, which was fantastic. I loved it when he would call me and ask questions. And even after I had left Key, called me with questions and so forth. And just 6 months ago, he called me trying to sell me a rig because I'm like, I don't need a rig, dude. I don't know what to tell you. But super proud of him. And then another one, he wasn't quite as much trouble. He was just, it was hard to get him out of bed to work, but he wasn't in jail and whatnot. Anyway, he owns his own restaurant, and so I don't know that I had any part in any of that, honestly, but I do know that I got to watch those guys grow and learn. And I do know that because of my influence and my constant RPO, they survived long enough to get to where they could be a successful. So that's what I'm in the safety. I'm in the people. I'm in the people. And that's what it is, really. Yeah, I'm in sales. I'm in sales because I have to sell myself and I have to sell my idea, right? To the men and women that are coaches. So, and one thing that I think helps me be really successful in that is my time on both sides of time operations, right? Like I've used those images and I've used those hammers and I've used those songs, right? And I've run that rig. But I also understand the possibility on the safety side where laying in the desk and saying, you got to practice stop work or you got to understand that I'm talking to a kid who struggles with addiction. And when I'm telling him, you got to stand up at that company and practice stop work or that's an impossibility. An impossibility. Right? And so I think that helps me. That helps me just in trying to communicate my idea why we want certain. Yeah. And I'll say, speaking of why, one of the things I've learned over the course of my career is every man has a heart for how if they understand why. Right? So you have kids. I have one at about 3 years old because I said so, quits working. You know what I mean? Right. And so one thing that we do as management or as safety people or whatever is we boss people around, we tell them what to do, but we don't give them a reason. We don't tell them why. Right? And so when we're pushing this agenda, this safety agenda, we explain to them why they have to be hired. We explain to them why, excuse me, we want them to um, not roll pipe barehanded, etc. You know? Right. And if we can, and again, because as a safety guy, you get flooded with pictures and stories and so forth. If we can impart those stories, show those pictures, right? Then they understand it's really happening. But that's the biggest failure, I think, in the safety world. You go out to ExxonMobil today, you'll be met by a gate guard. He's going to tell you no jewelry, no knives. You have to tuck your shirt in. Also, you can't have your pants up. Well, there's 6 inches worth of water and mud. Right. So why? Oh, that's just what they go. Yeah. Right. If you can explain why, anybody can tolerate it. But if nobody knows why we're doing this, they're going to do it while you're watching. Right. Right. As soon as you leave. So that's always my goal. Make them understand why I'm asking. And I've run into that as well because I would sit there and drive up and I'd see everybody scrambling for the PPE and everything else. And I would ask them, are y'all putting on or are you putting out? And they go, well, we're putting out. I go, well, grabbing your PPE when I drive up is putting on. That's right. And so that's one of the things that's the hardest to do is to sell the importance and the benefit of safety. I'll tell you the best sales job I've seen, which is still advised. But I had a guy working for me. And again, I don't think I should take his name, but he was off, way off. I don't know what his deal was, and I'm moments away from saying I can't eat. But I took him to lunch, sat down and talked with him, and come to find out, this kid had just beaten. He was about 2 years sober from a 15-year opioid. And so he started that in early high school, and quite honestly, just fried his brain. Right. But now that I know that about him, and I know that, a month ago, he went to he went to Dallas, Texas to see his 5-year-old daughter. And when he got there, Mama and her boyfriend were strung out on that. So he took the kid and left. And Mama never called and said, bring my kid back. Where's my kid? So now he's got this 5-year-old that he has no experience with, right? And all of a sudden he's trying to be a dad. He barely has himself. But now I know that, okay, I just need to find a better way to make this guy. It's a soldier. In the morning when he gets up, when you meet with him, here's what you're going to do today. Exactly. So he's super, for me, I guess politically, he's safe. Right? He's not going to go above and beyond. He's not going to get outside the box. He's going to march this line. And we need people.
Right.
We need people that are forward thinkers as well, right? But sometimes you need to say, hey, man, I need you to do A, B, and C. And at the end of the day, report back. So we go to this site one time. These are little, we were treating water. So these little one-man sites. We pull up and I say, all right, that guy over there doesn't have to say, yeah, I see that. Gets mad. All right, we'll go over there and explain to him why you're wearing a safety glass. So David, we'll take the glass. David,
we can edit that out.
he walks over there and he's talking to this guy, bends down, picks up a bunch of like dust, throws it in the guy's face. And David very wisely takes 2 or 3 steps back, knowing that once this guy gets his eyes clear, it's probably going to be a fight. But I asked him later, I said, hey, what was that about? And he said, well, I was just trying to explain to him why he needed to have glasses.
That's crazy.
I said, well, that's my fault, David.
But that's the oil field.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes, but I bet you he wore them.
I bet that guy probably wore those glasses. Yeah, it was great. He was that was a good guy, really good guy. We're still friends. Super proud of him because he's got his little girl now, and he's clean and he's sober and doing all the right things. That's he for a long time was really down on himself, and man, what a champion! What a hero! Because there are hundreds of thousands of people a year dying from opioids and all, etc. And this guy, he did.
Yeah.
And like we talked about earlier, I believe a lot of opioid crisis and so forth was not ever intentional. It was intentional when the Sackler brothers saddled, right? But the men and women that you and I deal with that have occupational injury, have a surgery or something like this, it's full of pills. Like we know that it's covered because workman's comp is paying the bill, so we'll give you all you want.
Yeah.
The next thing you know,
and it's legal.
Yeah, that's right. The next thing you know, we have people. I mean, the Sackler brothers should be hung by their noses. I'm pretty passionate. I think that it's very, very scary, especially now, because so many people don't have the opportunity to realize I got it, right? With the fentanyl and so forth. It's a one-time deal. You see these stories of kids that are taking an Adderall so they can stay up later and study. Valedictorian is dead.
Yeah.
Because they took a pill because they're trying to make the grade.
Yeah.
But so yeah, this I'm talking about the need that. I spent a lot of time trying to explain. You're not a loser. You're
absolutely
a rock star.
Yeah.
Because you have a story to tell. You should tell it more often. You should tell it more often. Talk to the men in the field about this, right? So that they can understand if they have a problem. You're not going to drag them down to the drug test place. You're going to say, let's get through it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's, some of that stuff is the rewarding part. Like you were teasing earlier, oh, you're a safety. Yeah. I started everywhere I go, which is fine. It's just a challenge.
Right.
But then you get to work with guys like that. You work with guys like that has his own rig, etc. You got guys like Andy Cobb and Kevin Northside.
Great man.
Yeah.
Great man.
And that's the reward. But that's why I only have that. Because I'm in safety,
Right. Well, we're not in it for the money?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, man. That's where
I should go back to wrenching rods.
Oh, gosh. Well, I appreciate this so much. There's a lot of people, when I was first asked to go in the oil field, I had a VP that goes, hey, Dusty, what do you think about going into safety? And I said, oh, heck no, except I didn't say heck. And he goes, well, good, you start tomorrow. And I'm going, Okay. And then after that, after having delivered a couple of death messages to families, and then having one delivered on us, that that I will work my tail off to prevent from any other person going through. And that's one of the things about safety. And the thing that I like that you bring to the table, and that I did as well, is we did operations.
Sure.
And so when they say, "Oh, you think you know how to do it better?" Yeah, let me show you.
Yeah.
And then, well, I can't now, but I could then. So, but that they understand that you're approaching it, the safety, from an operational standpoint that will permit them to go home.
You're right, and because of that, I think so. Traditionally, safety guy walks up and says, "You can't do that," right? And so the question is, me as a rig fisher, well, all right, how am I supposed to do it? I don't know, not like that.
Yeah.
Right? And so in managing, as I manage people, and especially younger, the field safety people that we put out are typically younger and newer in their career, et cetera. We don't ever hand them a problem.
Right.
You hand them a solution, right? And so if you don't have that solution, maybe, like I heard this just the other day on another podcast. It was a guy in his first firefight, and he was just screaming, "We got to get!" He was in Iraq. "We got to get out of here! We got to get out of here!" His team leader turned to him and said, "Hey, if you don't have a solution to the problem, shut up."
Right.
So what I try to teach is, if I walk up and I see Dusty Rhodes doing something that doesn't look right, I say, "Hey, Dusty, never done that." Like, explain the job steps and what's going on here. Like, why are you? It just doesn't look right. Why are you doing it? And I have to make him believe that I'm sincere. Um, and he says, "Well, this is just like that's pusher over there talking how to do it." Like,
Right.
and I say, "Okay, well, it doesn't look right, man. How long have you been doing this?" So, 5 years. All right. You ever hurt yourself? Okay. Well, I don't know a better way to do it, but I know that it can. But I also know you've been doing it for 5 years and not hurt yourself. Keep doing what you're doing. I'm gonna go do some research, right?
Exactly.
And we'll talk again. Because if I just tell him you can't do that, all I've done is put a pair of handcuffs on him. As soon as he finds the key, he's gonna go right back to doing it.
Yep.
The way he's been doing. But if I can make him understand, I'm not here to. So many times we get from the ivory tower that says, "That's it. No more knives. You guys can't have knives." I mean, that's cool, but we got a lot of things we got to cut. You know. So what do you suggest? Oh, well, use the seatbelt. Well, let's think about, and you've done this job, I'm sure, changing out a tubing line on a workover rig.
Yeah.
And you put that snake on there, tape it up with that black tape, and it goes through those shivs 6 or 8 times, and that tape makes here and there and wherever. You can't just pull that tape on.
No.
And a seatbelt cutter won't do the trick. You can't get it in there, right? So management, somewhere, somehow, in all their infinite wisdom, has just handed us a problem.
Yeah.
As opposed to a solution. And I'm very, very much against that. I heard a story about a company here in town. Actually, this was an acquisition, but there's a college over in Odessa where they're teaching safety stuff. I don't know exactly what it is. And this teacher learned what these safety consultants were making. So she went to that corporate office and she's like, "That's ridiculous." She's like, "I'm graduating next number of these guys every year that'll be more than happy to go to work for $60,000 a week." So they did. They hired a bunch of them. Okay. And let their safety consultants go. And there was an incident where a guy smashed his hand between 2 pipe wrenches. And the answer was, "That's it. No more pipe wrenches on location here." Right? So, okay. How do we work? How do we do anything? Everything we do is pipe. There's a reason that we call them pipe. So I'm very against handing anybody a problem.
Right.
Right? I may point out that they have one, and I don't have a solution, but I'm going to go find one. Right? Or better yet, so let's talk about oil and gas company, E&P company. exploration. Right? So your Exxon, your Chevron, Conoco's, your even the smaller ones, whatever. They have people that make policies and procedures. Novel idea, but they have tens of thousands of contractors coming to their locations every day to work.
Right.
Those tens of thousands have been working for hundreds of thousands of other companies. Why don't we take a minute and ask them, what's the best way to do this? Hey, we're Exxon, instead of King Exxon, we're Exxon and we like to learn. What's Chevron doing over there? Right?
Yeah.
How did you do it at Conoco? Or better yet, have you ever worked over there at Blackbeard Operating? Smaller company, a small company without so many regulations and so forth. What do we do over there? Like, is there any good ideas here where we can get it?
Yeah.
We don't do that. Right?
No.
We say no. We make billions every year, so we know exactly what we're doing.
Our policies and procedures are out.
That's right. Because some guy with a college degree who's never seen 24 said, this is what. So I think that's my goal is to try and make the men that are doing the work feel they're about.
Well, we've run out of time, but I appreciate this so much because you've expressed a lot of feelings that I have also learned throughout the course of the years. And it seems like for a period of time, it's a lot better now. They would produce safety consultants or safety personnel, and they didn't know a rod tone from a seat.
That's right. That's right.
And so that's what I think the true answer is trying to have noticed the problem and how can we come to a solution where we eliminate the hazards.
Well, and, they're still out there, and I always encourage the men and women in the field that I'm working with to push back.
Oh yeah,
because that's how I learned, right? And so I went out one time to a large producer, and they had a gate guard guy there. He had his own trailer and everything. So he was back. He had a two-way radio. Sergeant Slaughter. So it was winter. It was 3 a.m. There'd been an incident. He wouldn't let me in because I had on an FR hoodie, but I did not have an FR T-shirt on underneath. Well, what are you talking about? You have to have an FR hoodie. That's the law. I said, cool. Where's that? He started shuffling around on his desk and all these papers, and he says, "Oh, it's manufacturer's recommendation." I said, "Well, which manufacturer?" And I'm like, "Don't worry about it." He's like, "I got it right here somewhere." I said, "Don't worry about it. I'll Google it." "Oh, no, you'll never find this." I'm like, "It's because you don't know what you're talking about." Right. You know what I mean? Like, so I would encourage people to respectfully push back and say, "Hey, show me where that's at," because safety people change jobs just like anybody else.
Right.
And it can be, the line can be very, very blurred as opposed to what's right, what's the law, as opposed to what was that company's policy.
Right.
That company's policy, not so much policy, but reaction.
Right.
That they had to an incident at one point in time.
Right.
So I think that it's important to me to always let men and women feel, no, hey, I want to negotiate. I'm not here ruling.
Right. Right.
So I think that's one thing that we don't.
You didn't whip out a safety bag?
No.
Okay.
No, but I'll tell you. Hey, I'll tell you this funny story. South Texas, Carrizo Springs. I got a guy working for me down there. I've never met him. I'm going to meet him for the first time. Right? And I get down there. He's got quite literally a badge around on a necklace. It's like he's in 21 Jump Street. It's in a leather holster and everything. Right? And I'm trying to catch a glimpse of this thing, and it's like a sheriff's star. And as I get closer to it, it's got the company name engraved in it, and it says security on it. So he's literally wearing a badge that he had made with our company name. And I said, what's that? And he's like, well, that's my badge. What's it for? He's like, that way they know that I'm insane. I'm like, dude, they can tell by the way you talk you're in safety. What are you talking about?
Right.
So we go out, we go to this rig move, and before we get out, we're moving the drill, right? So it's just mass chaos, organized chaos. And before we get out, I said, take that off. Look, so he takes his badge off, and I go talk to the company man, and he goes somewhere else, and I come see me again here in a minute, and he's got something else around his neck. And I get up closer, and this man has traded his badge for a whistle. And I said, what is that? And he said, that's my whistle. And I'm like a rape whistle or what, man? He says, well, no, I don't know all their names, but if I blow the whistle, they'll look at me and I can tell them stop doing what they're doing. Like, they're grown men. They're not dogs.
Right.
Put the whistle down, And that's the constant battle that we have is against people. And now that man had genuine intention of doing it right.
Right.
Just completely oblivious to how to deal with people or what challenges he was up against at the same. So that's a fight.
Man, I miss having a whistle all my career.
I never owned one. Dang it! I gotta find me one.
Oh, man. Well, I thank you so much. I hope the audience enjoys it because it gives an insight to our profession, and hopefully some of the people in our profession listen to it too, because the different ideas are sometimes regional and sometimes it's worldly good information, but it's all good information, and that's what we need to do. I hope we opened up some minds to the world of safety because it's a tough gig.
Yeah, and I guess I'll call Kevin Northcutt.
Right, and Andy Cobb.
And
because I've worked with Andy quite a bit, and I love him. But anyway, well, we thank you so much, and we hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you soon again on the West Texas Swing.